This is SNN, the least busted name in news. Were you aware that UFOs have been spotted on Uranus, and in your guacamole? Learn our recipe instead. We'll post it at smashamash.com/forum. Welcome to the Geomagnetic Storm conditions, folks. A lot of stuff going on today. Let's get into it. We're experiencing a significant coronal hole wind stream associated with this coronal hole right here. It is large. It is in charge of the current geomagnetic environment. We see auroras, all kinds of power system induction, and all kinds of stuff going on at the same time. No sunspots. And I'll let that play through a second time for you. See that active region just behind that giant coronal hole. And we've got some custom helio viewer movies for you. There's the magnetogram. I don't know what went wrong with that, but here's the 304 angstroms. 1 day video here. Some filamentary activity in the northeast. No coronal mass ejections. And here's a 131 angstroms view. This is one of the ionized states of iron UV emissions. And like 94 angstroms, this one takes 10 images per minute instead of only 2, like all the rest of the wavelengths. The radio flux is back up to 74 solar flux units. And I would invite you to make America not suck again, or perhaps you live someplace else, make Earth not suck again. Have you noticed the planet's been sucking? Well, there's a 3-year graph of the radio flux. We'll get into it. And I don't know why I have that open, but there's the current situation. We reached all the way up to a KP of 6, as we forecasted, and as NOAA forecasted. Indeed, current state of geomagnetism is a KP of 5. Mild geomagnetic storm conditions. And we saw some major striations in the solar wind, but not in the X-ray flux. No significant solar flares, and no significant proton events. But we just saw the solar wind density go off a cliff, as well as the solar wind speed drop down to hundreds of kilometers slower than it was, and then jump right back up again. Also note the temperature here suddenly dropping, but we don't see a change in the BTBZ, so that is just a change in the plasma stream incoming, folks. And you can see right here, plasma density went from 8.25 down to almost nothing. This is some of the lowest readings we've ever seen, 0.12 protons per cubic centimeter there. And then it came right back up to 7.08. So we saw a major fluctuation there. Density drops off, and it happened right around 6 o'clock universal time, and at 6:40 or so we saw major geomagnetic perturbations. We'll show you in a minute. Solar wind speed went from 630 kilometers a second down to 440, and then right back up to 620. This is an earthquake risk, folks. These sudden inductions and then lack of inductions make a difference. And here are the aurora forecasts that were sparked as a result of that high-speed coronal hole wind stream. And we may be seeing the indications that the coronal hole wind stream is subsiding here, although that is a precipitous drop-off. And there are estimations of where the aurora are most likely to be located. And here's the Geospace Magnetosphere movie section of the video. And we're going to show you the velocity, the pressure, and the density on this one. There you can see it around 640. We see this sudden high velocity system, especially on the equatorial plane view. Major disparities in the velocity there. Next, looking at the pressure, and you're going to see one of the biggest puff-ups of the pressure we've ever covered on the channel. This is actually a downward tick in the pressure. You can see it, the density, you see it suddenly goes down to almost nothing. So it's like a shutdown, and then all of a sudden it turns right back on again. Dense regions of plasma shown in dark blue. I'll let it play through a second time. Low density regions shown in white. And this is only showing us between 0 and 4 protons per cubic centimeter. So a major downtick, and then coming right back up to around the same levels it was at. And you'll see what happens in the magnetohydrodynamic pressure here on the third pane. Right there. The pressure went down to almost nothing, especially in the bow shock region. Pressure still remained in the magnetotail and then resumes at significant levels, right straight back to geomagnetic storm conditions. And that won't be enough to change the KP index, folks. It has to be, the KP index is a global measurement of geomagnetism, and it takes a few hours for that to be compiled. There you see that sudden drop-off of pressure associated with the sudden drop-off of solar wind density and especially speed. Actually, especially density. So this sustained increase in solar wind density here over the past week or so, when this drops back off again, major earthquake risk, also electron storm risk. Here's the geoelectric field, and we see some major induction here. Typically, the most significant spots in the U.S. are indeed North Dakota and Minnesota. This is measuring induction in the U.S. power grid. And there you can see energy from space charging up your power lines. Next, we're going to look at magnetic perturbations here. Ground-based magnetometers. And we see a major pulse. We'll let that play through a second time for you there as it refreshed. And we'll show you that moment at 6:40. And you can see significant magnetism induced by this. And the magnetism doesn't just go away, but it does come back there. So major changes in the Earth's B field having happened suddenly and essentially without warning there. So here's the drop-off. And you can see everything kind of calms down for a minute. And then right at about 8 o'clock universal time, the solar wind resumes, and you see that massive magnetic induction caused by those incoming solar protons. Or are they outgoing earthly electrons, or are they a combination of both? In any case, the GOES magnetometer is very, very spiky over the past day, and no surprises there, as plasma is forced to align to magnetic fields. And plasma has the ability to block magnetic fields, at least the sensing of them, as it is forced to align, move around in, and be heated up by magnetic fields, but not become the magnetic fields. Plasma can't become a magnetic field because it is a gas in space, and that's not the way magnetism works. Anyway, there's the GOES magnetometer data, and you can see very spiky readings here over the past, say, 6 hours. Here's the Gong 2 environment, and we have not yet snapped into the South Pole current sheet, but we very likely are in the process of doing it now, so you may see continued sawtooth patterns in the GOES magnetometer here. There might be some wild swings, and I was a little bit off with my forecast yesterday. I would bet a little cash that today the Earth will be back in a South Pole current sheet like the one shown here in red, and out of the North Pole current sheet. And the boundary crossing may be happening as we do the live stream. Looking at the line of sight field plot, and we don't see major changes in the B field here, an indication that the active regions facing the Earth right now aren't all that active. And here's the solar corona magnetic field plot. And you can see lots of coronal hole open potential field force lines shown in purple there, as well as the pink closed potential field force lines of the South Pole and the open potential field force lines of the solar North Pole. And welcome to another episode of the Smash Lights, part of the Smash News Network, the least busted name in news. Let me check the life of the stream before I get on to talk about Angry Catfish Briggs. And we are looking good. So, one of our viewers yesterday in the Twitch live stream asked us about a video by Angry Catfish Briggs. And I don't think Angry Catfish Briggs has any clue what he's talking about in terms of astronomy and physics. Not interested. Silly videos. I've been turned on to the page a couple times before. Silly, ridiculous videos. And he insists on showing these integrated space weather analysis magnetosphere videos here, which are complete nonsense. The magnetohydrodynamics does not do that. See you later, Angry Catfish Briggs. Now, first of all, do you follow us on Instagram? We're on all kinds of social media, but congratulations to Julian Alaphilippe, the French cyclist who won the World Championships. Congratulations. After he fought tooth and nail throughout the Tour de France, his solo attack was successful in the UCI World Championships. Shout out to him. And shout out to North Tonawanda Folding Table and Party Company. Have you seen this video?
Check it out. Here's some free additional
Instagram.com/SMASHOMASH. Giving out free advertisements for some New York-based company.
Not Fox.
North Tonawanda Folding Table and Party Supply Company. If you need to buy a table to smash, well, I would look up this guy, the Tonawanda Folding Table and Party Supply Company. And they got a new spot in Chickatawaga. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, one of the aspects of the Smash News Network is making videos on YouTube. Why? Because it's part of our mission. And if you want to read about our mission, you can read all about it at smashomash.com/forum/mission. Please take a moment to press like and subscribe on YouTube, as the video can't continue until you do so, and people have got things to do. Perhaps you've checked out our playlists. You can find the playlists at youtube.com/smashomash/playlists. And yesterday, I made some predictions, one of which is that the presidential debates will not happen.
You will also add hot peppers to your diet.
And that you will also add hot peppers to your diet. Yes. If you're not familiar with SCRYING with Smash, there are 5 episodes, and they may still be relevant, or they may be irrelevant. We're also on BitChute. It's bitshoot.com/smashomash. And again, we do stream live daily, most days, to Twitch. It's twitch.tv/smashomash. There's our console. Leave us a comment if you're viewing live. Thanks to our latest follower, we're back up to 52. And we're going to do more in the future to promote and create more exclusive content at Twitch. Again, it's twitch.tv/smashomash, one of the most important sites for the Smash News Network. The least busted name in news. So we're growing our organization. Please check out all the links at smashomash.org. We've got all of our social media there, as well as our affiliate link and our 2 stores, as well as a link to the forum. Let's talk about COVID. Now, I know a lot of people are idiotically scared and spooked about the COVID. Man, COVID can't even handle this new age meditation stuff. Let's talk about Trump derangement syndrome. Now, the term was coined by conservative political commentator Charles Krauthammer, the late, great Charles Krauthammer, yes, a psychiatrist who originally coined the phrase Bush derangement syndrome. What does it mean? Well, it means that people are a little bit unobjective about stuff, and they're very, very confused because there is a huge, massive media propaganda campaign against Trump, and I think it's ridiculous. Now, I have 0 political affiliation. I've never been affiliated with a political party, and I probably never will be. I wouldn't even consider joining a political party, not even to vote in the primaries in Pennsylvania. Why? Because I don't want to be associated with a bunch of complete hacks who are nothing but a draw on society and the economy, essentially parasites. I refuse to join a political party. And I refuse to be unobjective and be a subjective cretin or an imbecile suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. Let's talk about somebody who does. It's Ariana Huffington. Here are some headlines from the HuffPost. The dirty details. $750 tax bill, mountains of debt, and clear conflicts. A whole section on Trump's taxes. And here's the latest news. Trump's former campaign manager reportedly surrenders himself to police after wife's 911 call. Biden's campaign mocks Trump's drug test debate stunt. Trump judge postpones Trump's TikTok ban at the last minute. Biden warns Barrett nomination puts Americans' health care in jeopardy. COVID-19 surging Trump's red states just weeks before election. Coronavirus live updates featuring a photograph of Governor Andrew Cuomo, one of the top COVIDiots in the world, in that New York has had the highest mortality rate of any place on earth. But they're still going to put his photo here on HuffPo because they're so objective. And they totally aren't suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. What a joke. Do you read HuffPo? I just read it for the lulz. Let's talk more about COVID. Yeah, COVID, that's right. Now, I have a feeling that, like COVID-19, that the HuffPo may be made in China. Now, if you'd like to kill COVID, which I don't want to kill COVID, but you might, check out smAshomash.com/affiliate. You can get one of these UV wands, and you'll just be like, see ya. Not scary, not tough, actually kind of fragile. And yeah, HuffPost, made in China. China, it's made in China. Their agenda, like Joe Biden's, is made in China. Let's talk about gaslighting, or attempted gaslighting. Now, our channel's been attempted gaslit a million times, and I've been gaslit my entire life, not just by family members, but by all kinds of employers and so on. Let's talk about what happens here. Let's talk about the gaslighting by people with Trump derangement syndrome. 1. Trump supporters aren't censoring people on social media. 2. They aren't threatening their opponent's civil liberties. They aren't violating the separation of powers, which leftists routinely do, including through their activist courts and lawless executive orders, such as the ones under Barack Obama to not enforce immigration laws. They're not demonizing other races, as you maliciously accuse. They're not the ones threatening the integrity of the electoral process. On the other hand, leftists have promised to stack the Supreme Court, add territories to the Union to increase its electoral prospects, import voters from other countries and let illegal aliens vote, circumvent the Electoral College, obliterate the integrity of the voting process through rampant, unverifiable mail-in ballots and the elimination of voter ID rules, what a joke, and lower the voting age to 16. Please leave a comment if you think the voting age should be raised to 30. Let's talk about COVID some more. Yeah. Turns out that if you're 0 to 19 years old, the current best estimate is that you have a 0.00003% chance of death from COVID. And even if you're 70 plus, you only have a 0.054% chance of death from COVID, which means it's as deadly as the flu, even for the elderly. Yeah, it's only as deadly as the flu for the elderly, which means what I've been saying since January 23rd. Here, let me show you. If you head to smAshomash.org and you simply click on the forum, see smAsho forum, just click on that, and then scroll down here to the free-for-all forum, and you may notice that the most popular forum thread is COVID. It's got more hits than any other thread on the forum. It's over 30 pages long. And where the heck is it? It's in the free-for-all forum. There it is. Let's see what the first page says, as we've got over 15,000 views on this. On January 23rd, you can quote me as saying, "Is it dangerous? Not particularly for healthy people." What are coronaviruses and where did they come from? If you want to read all about it again, head to smAshomash.com/forum, because we've been speaking truth to nonsense the whole time. And it's about time for me to reappear and talk about methods by which to not die. How about have sufficient levels of vitamin D? Yeah, here's an article on SciTech Daily about it. It's been known for months, but for some reason the mainstream media is really worried about things like vaccines and other totally irrelevant and ineffective methods to deal with it, such as lockdowns and mask mandates for healthy people. Have you noticed your civil liberties being eroded? Yeah. Well, guess what? I get to go to court again on Wednesday over hedges that I don't own and a fine that I did pay because reasons. One of the ways to mitigate some of the nonsense associated with the COVID is to head to smashamash.com/affiliate. As after all, we've got L-lysine there, which is, by the way, an essential amino acid that you can't produce in your own body, which is what essential means when it comes to amino acids. It's responsible for the production of hormones, enzymes, and antibodies. You may want to get some. Also, MSM, methylsulfonomethane, part of the sulfur cycle that is highly misunderstood. Also, calcium plus D plus zinc. And other supplements. Again, smashamash.com/affiliate. We don't have a featured product today because we don't want the video to be too long, but check out the products. There's that UV wand I showed you earlier, as well as the Bluetooth keyboard that we use to type during our live premiere viewings. And if you need some two-stroke some two-stroke oil to mix with your gas for your motorcycle or whatever, we've got a link to that too. smashamash.com/affiliate. Thanks to our patrons, the true source of funding for the content. We greatly appreciate your support. Please consider becoming a patron if you haven't done so. It's patreon.com/smashamash, and we are probably going to phase out the $1 and $2 tiers by the end of the year. Why? Largely because of inflation and because of the amount of percentage of your cash going to Patreon instead of to us. In any case, please consider becoming a patron. Again, it's patreon.com/smashamash. And let's talk cosmology for a quick moment. Were you aware that a recent study from Baylor University indicates that the rapid cooling associated with the Younger Dryas events is probably not from space? Yeah, it's probably not from asteroids. It's probably from volcanoes. Why? Well, it's because of the signature of the osmium isotope analysis. Yes. There's an inappropriate proportion of osmium in the strata in this cave. It's called Hall's Cave in Texas, and it could not have been caused by an extraterrestrial impact. It appears to be caused by volcanism. Now, whether it's one volcano or a whole planet worth of volcanoes, who really knows? But other rare elements include things like iridium, ruthenium, platinum, palladium, and rhenium. So in any case, this article here on SciTech Daily may be important to a lot of you catastrophists, as it appears that volcanism is responsible for the extremely quick global cooling associated with the rapid warming at the end of the last ice age. It's on phys.org also. If you want to update our forum about it, feel free, smashamash.com/forum, and we'd be more than happy to take your posts here in the Earth Geophysics section. And we've created this forum for you folks. It's not just for me to amass information, it's for you, the viewer. It basically runs itself, and it's not being hacked by cheap Chinese hackers. And let's talk about the October contest. So yesterday, Smash staff put up this post here about ideas for merch designs. Well, we're going to tie this together with our October fundraising moves. I'll be making a shirt featuring Cygnus X3, the massive X-ray binary, at which Göbekli Tepe seems to be oriented. And also look for another forum thread soon, titled something like Smashtober Contest, win a free shirt. Yes, we'll be giving out a free shirt at the end of October, probably on November 1st, All Saints Day, or perhaps on November 2nd, All Souls Day. It's where you'll be able to enter details. It's where you'll be able to read details about our Smashtober contest. And if you win, we'll send you a shirt. Which design? Well, we're not sure yet. Here's a design you may like. Are you a Democrat? Now, I'm not suggesting that you would try to make America suck even more than it already does right now. I think that you probably want to make America not suck again. Maybe consider yourself in a blue Mansa shirt. Make America not suck again. Or perhaps you're a Republican. Maybe get yourself a red Mansa shirt. Future shirts will only have colorized designs, so don't look for such variety in the future. There's also a black one for all of you Antifa members out there. And here ends another episode of the Smash Lights, where I talk about whatever the heck I want. I might even get enraged and start the place on fire with my mind. And I might not. But in any case, I'll get back to space data. There is the 1-year chart of the relativistic electron flux. Now we are expecting a major electron storm. We see some significant charging hazards here, namely in the northern hemisphere around the equator. And there's a forecast. We're seeing a forecast for increased electron flux. So when this coronal hole wind stream subsides, look for problems with things like your GPS. You may have communication breakdowns. Electron flux can really mess with things. It can make things like the SDO stop being able to send a good signal and so on. So there's the 3-day chart, and we're expecting even higher levels here than yesterday. I think we reached about, it looks like about 8 times the warning level at yesterday's peak. Here is the total electron content forecast, showing you the full air column from the thermosphere all the way down to the ground. No real anomalies there, just high levels of electron flux, especially in the sun-facing equatorial region. Next, looking at just one slice of that here, here's the ionosphere. And you can see the blob of charge up there is pretty well centered on the equator because we're right near the equinox, just following the equinox here, moving into southern hemisphere spring. Not particularly anomalous there. Pretty normal during this geomagnetic storm condition. Here's the latest image at 8:45 Universal Time. Nothing to write home about there. Here's what's going on above my head. Where were you when Cygnus set? Well, Cygnus hasn't set yet where I am. It's going to skim across the horizon, as it does every fall, as it's been orbiting around Polaris all winter. If you want to know how to find Polaris, just follow Ursa Major, right? The Big Dipper, these 2 stars at the end of the Dipper, they point right at Polaris. So that's how you find Polaris. And by the way, Cygnus just circles Polaris all summer long as part of the summer triangle. And if you weren't aware, Cygnus X3, otherwise known as Deneb, the tail of the swan, is the celestial pole star at the other end of the, quote, precessional, end quote, cycle. Now here's what's going on above my head, and let me check the chat and so on. And it looks like we are good. Here's a planetary diagram from theplanetstoday.com. Here's where things are now. There's where things will be in 7 days. By the way, we've got a holiday full moon coming up. It's going to be full moon on Halloween. Next, looking at the last 24 hours of earthquakes. We didn't see anything over a 6 magnitude, but we saw a deep quake here at Guatemala. It's a 5.3 magnitude at about 107 kilometers depth. Also one in the Greenland Sea there. That's an odd spot for a quake. Some aftershocks striking Greece here, it looks like. And a very deep quake at the Fiji Islands. It's a 4.5 magnitude at 589 kilometers. Another deep quake in Afghanistan. We've seen quite a few of those over the past couple weeks. More quakes in Greece. No major quakes. Here is the volcano rundown. We've got a volcano back in the list here. Bardarbunga in central Iceland has been showing some seismic activity up to a magnitude 4.8 quake. And so it's back on the list here as it saw a 4.8 magnitude quake yesterday just after midnight local time, as well as some aftershocks. Also on the list is Suwanosejima, flight level 050 or 5,000 feet. Semaru also producing some discrete volcanic emissions. Don't pole vault the caldera, it could be unhealthful. Sangay exploding, flight level 210, 21,000 feet. And Sabancaya exploding, producing a 25,000 foot ash plume there down in Peru. Here's a usweather.gov map. It's just weather.gov. And we've finally seeing some of these warnings subside, although we still see some hard freeze warnings in the Central Rockies. Here are the jet streams of the eastern world according to nullschool.net. It's the 25 hectopascal winds. Here are the jets of the western world. And this right here is a bit of an anomaly, if you're wondering, folks. I don't know if that translates to surface winds or not. Let's see. It does translate a little bit to surface winds. So that's something to keep an eye on. And when I say eye on, oh, well, the pun is intentional. Shout out to our African and European viewers. There are your water vapor maps. Shout out to our Far Eastern viewers. and our viewers from Munda. In other words, in Oceania, places like Tonga, Fiji, American Samoa, New Zealand, and Australia. Oceania, yes. The earthquake capital of the deep earthquake capital of the world. Here are the water vapor maps for the Americas. We may have some Saharan dust at play here. Let's just check nullschool.net real quick for particulate. And indeed, we do see some African dust once again blowing out. And there you can see this massive plume of particulate making its way across the Atlantic. Yes, the weather data informs me of this, folks. Because why? Because I understand the physics. Next, looking at the pressure. And here are where pressure cells are located. We're advancing this via the GFS forecast. Here's where we expect things to be at 12 noon tomorrow. Significant anticyclone there in the North Atlantic. Please leave a comment if you would like us to name this after a CNN news network, otherwise known as the Climate Nonsense News Network, or perhaps the Communist News Network. CNN, the most busted name in news, unlike SNN, the most trusted name in news. Next, we're going to take a look at Lightningmaps.org. It's what I like to use for real-time lightning maps. And here's what's going on in the current situation. We see some terrestrial lightning in the U.S. So, hey, Pine Bluff, there's thunder rolling in. Hey, Texarkana. By the way, if you're in Dallas and you're in a high building, go out and look to your east-southeast. You may see sprites up there as it's still dark. And hey, Shreveport, there's major thunder rolling in. And here's the storms associated with that. It's the U.S. Doppler radar map. By the way, a Doppler radar measures vertical air column movement. And this is why sometimes it does not give you all the data that you need. That's why we show you the water vapor maps. So there's what's going on in the cloud layer. Let's bypass that and move straight to water vapor. Here's the water vapor situation. And we'll zoom in on that area and give you an animation for all of you folks down south located in the crosshairs of this. This will give you a better idea of what will happen, as the water vapor satellite doesn't care about clouds. It detects all of the water vapor, give or take. And you may have these storms stagnating a little bit as we've got dry massive air out here and dry massive air back here. It's creating some compression. But it might also, this dry air here might create some stagnation as well. So those storms might be kind of slow moving, and they might rain themselves out quickly also. In case you were wondering. And hey, Smash team, thanks for tuning in to the Smash News Network. We've got bonus features for you, so don't go anywhere. One of the bonus features is to offer you, actually this will be a bonus for you. Head to the Smash store. You can link to it at smashamash.org. Perhaps pick up yourself a Smash branded shirt like this one here. Maybe you're going hunting and you want to tell your friends to, if they want to follow the real most cutting edge information on space weather, head to smashamash.org and visit our links. We forecast coronal mass ejections long before anybody else on Earth, if you weren't aware. By the way, thanks for flying American Smashways. Your pilot has vanished, which is a cue for you to please keep your head and arms inside the Smash plane at all times. We've got our standard bonus features here. Today they're going to feature a 94 angstroms 48-hour SDO video, a view of the intensitygram, and a view of the colorized magnetogram to show you if there are any sunspots. I don't think there are any sunspots. Anyway, there's the current situation. And we've got 3 active regions right in the Earth-facing region here. Please leave us a comment if you think that means the 7th seal has been opened and we're all doomed. I'm very scared and spooked. Very scared and spooked. Just kidding, folks. And here is the intensitygram. We may see some umbrae forming once again here in that active region, but I don't see any dark spots yet. Just a little bit of activity there. And here's the 94 angstroms 48-hour SDO video. It's about that time. Please play. There we go. Give that a moment to load. Allow me to thank you for tuning in. Remember, stare at the sun, don't drink. Attempt to understand the physics, and if you do drink, certainly don't drive. Or perhaps just don't drive anyway. Welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. Visit our sites. Please consider supporting the channel, as we're tanking over here, and we need a lot more financial contribution in order to maintain even our current state of production. And by the way, may that solar wind be at